When you love racing like we do, you deserve more than just a place to sleep. You deserve a great place to stay. And that's exactly what you'll get with the Holiday Inn Express, the Hampton Inn, and the fully renovated Red Roof Inn and Suites, all in Wilkesboro. Enjoy award-winning Southern hospitality, comfortable and spacious rooms with a complimentary breakfast. But the fun doesn't stop there. Take in the beauty of our back roads and the richness of our history. Whether you're here for the excitement of the races or the beauty of our countryside, we're ready to welcome you back.
The 1915 combines rich history with timeless charm. From intimate gatherings to full-day rentals, we provide the perfect backdrop for your most cherished moments. With indoor and outdoor options, bridal and groom suites, every detail is crafted just for you. Make your wedding unforgettable at the 1915, Wilkesboro's historic wedding venue, where your story begins.
Closed captions for this episode of Life in Wilkes is brought to you by Deal Insurance Agency in Wilkesboro, an award-winning, experienced, family-owned and operated agency with service and coverage that goes above and beyond expectations. Join us on a captivating journey as we explore the charm, history, and vibrant culture of Wilkes County. Discover the hidden gems, inspiring stories, and remarkable people that make Wilkes a place worth knowing and celebrating. Join us now as we experience the unique essence of life in Wilkes.
Mayor Isom, good to see you again.
Carl, good to be back with you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. A lot of things going on in the mayoring world and the Isom family world. Been busy, hasn't it?
Has been very busy. I'm thinking that really the last time I was in here with you was right after Helene with the mayor of North Wilkesboro, and we talked a little bit about
that's exactly right.
You know, the issues locally from Helene. So
that's right. The local problems, and then my goodness, it just bloomed from there.
Yeah. So a year and a half.
Yeah. It's been a while. Wow. Well, time goes by quick.
It does.
And then before that, you were in with the First Lady. I think we talked about Christmas, didn't we?
We did. We I know you seem to have trouble getting those things out there on YouTube because any reference to mayor seemed to cause issues. So
well, it wasn't on YouTube. It was on social media.
Social media, okay.
And it was at that time. That seems to have calmed down now. It was just getting triggered as political or something.
Yeah.
So,
which I'm so far from.
Yes. Well, so that's what makes you an interesting mayor, right? Makes it easier for you. I mean, we're here in America 250. You know, a lot of people, I've had a lot of conversations around America 250 now. And I was talking to someone about being on the show and being one of our America 250 shows. And I said, well, that was, and he said, well, that was such an important time because that really got everything started. I said, well, sure, it started a big old war that took several years to get through. But it is when it began. It is when it started. So let's talk about, you know, America 250. I know you're on the committee for the county, but being the mayor of Wilkesboro, which is also the county seat, that's important. So you get to talk about not only Wilkesboro, but the history that's kind of centered around there because it was there before North Wilkesboro.
Yeah.
So in the very beginning. So let's talk about your appreciation and what that part of history means to you and why it's important.
In thinking about America 250, it throws me back to America 200. I was living here in Wilkes at that time, and I remember a lot of the celebrations back then, and I remember President Ford coming in helicopter and landing out at West Wilkes, and my wife, who I was dating at that time, was a Ford girl, and so I just have all kinds of wonderful memories of that 50 years ago when I was 16 years old, and so that makes me think about, you know, what we're doing right now and how that's going to impact this next generation and the memories they're going to make. And so that adds a bit of responsibility to all of us that are working to make this a memorable year.
Right.
Is, you know, we want to celebrate. We want everyone to enjoy it, but we want it to be significant for that next generation. And then, maybe if it's significant for them, they'll pass it down to their kids.
Right.
I mean, our goal is to help people understand the formation of our nation, but also the rich history and the evolution of
it started and okay, what happened next, right?
And the big question too is what happens next now. We're continuing to change as a nation and to grow and remedy our shortcomings, and so it's exciting. It's been exciting. You think about since America 200, what has happened in this nation, and the good changes, the difficulties we faced together, and gives me hope for the future.
Right. Did you have an appreciation for history as a young person?
I somewhat. I was, in school, I was probably designed to be an engineer early on, and so math and science was where I spent most of my time. But I certainly have grown in my appreciation for history, and do significant reading now. Spend a lot of time, learning and looking back.
So, had you been born, let's say, 270 years ago, having an engineer during that time of our nation, that would be a good thing. You would have probably stayed completely booked.
Probably would have.
Completely booked.
Yeah.
Thinking about that time period, it's just 250 years ago. It's just not been that long in the scope of things. I think one of the things I love studying our founding fathers, and Franklin's one of my favorite, just because he was such an interesting character. But I think as that document that got it all started, as they were signing, and he had his big signature there, and he's like, yeah, we've got it if we can keep it. That's still true, isn't it?
It is. I mean, in a nation with the kind of freedom that we have, it really is so important for each generation to pass on values and help that next generation to understand what they have. Mm-hmm. If you don't, they will never fully understand what freedom really means. They can go to another country that doesn't have freedoms and
see that
and see it, but you begin to take it for granted if you're not educated on it.
Were you brought up with that type of mindset with your parents?
Yeah, my parents did a good job of helping me to appreciate our nation and to honor it, and to be a patriot. And my family has, my dad was military. My brother still is military, nearly 40 years, still in. And
he's elevated quite nicely in that position.
He loves our country, and he's sacrificed tremendous amount of his life for our nation. So that came from parenting, and my dad's brother served in Korea, and so it's been important to our family to serve.
Do you think having that family history of where family members, your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, they actually were part of that battle process, the fighting for their freedoms. Do you think that makes a little bit of a difference in the way you see things, because you've got all that stacked up behind you?
Yeah, I do. We visited, my brother was stationed in Hawaii to serve in the Pacific area, and so we visited there about a year and a half ago before he moved to Washington, D.C. But we toured. He lived in Pearl Harbor there, and so we did the tour of everything Pearl Harbor, and went on to the Arizona Memorial, and we're standing there, and he and his wife said, "Look at this area," and there was an Isom, and they had done the research, and he was related to us, and so that hit me very hard.
Was that the first time of seeing it?
Yeah.
What did that? I mean, that was one of those moments. That battle was that was a turning point. A very important turning point.
Yeah.
But we lost a lot of good people then.
Yeah, to stand on the memorial and look down and see the sunken ship below, and to know that one of my ancestors was entombed in that ship, makes you think important thoughts.
Yes. Wow. So as we bring that together, we say America 250 is a celebration, but it is a celebration of those memories as well, that some of them can be pretty heavy. Do you think that the celebration can even be real unless we honor that past?
Yeah, I think I think it's right for us to recognize the good and also recognize the bad, the struggles, right. Whether it's civil rights or, whatever it is that, that we didn't get right to start with, and that we've worked at as a nation to change. I think that is worth celebrating for sure.
Yes.
A lot of nations are what they are, and that's what they will be. We are who we are today and have the freedoms to change that tomorrow, and that's just tremendous.
Those conversations are important, aren't they?
They are.
I think talking about those difficult moments, talking about in the lobby, there's a framed piece of art, and it lists those amendments for freedoms for black people, for women's right to vote.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't see those in the original documents, but they were added because it was a living document. It was to evolve. So it was righting those wrongs. I think even our founding fathers dealt with that, and argued about some of those points. But let's deal with that later, I think was kind of the sentiment. But there were a lot of conversations that were pretty strong about those issues then.
Yeah, I think that because they knew it was an incomplete document,
yes.
They left a process in place to make those changes. How wise was that? You go back and read those documents, and you're overwhelmed with the wisdom and knowledge that our founding fathers had and put in place. It's just stunning. I know we're going to talk about the installation of the documents here, right. and I can't wait to stand and read, and I've read the documents, but never life size, never in that situation. I look forward to that.
I think it's going to be life changing. I know it has been for me to see those over the past 5 or 6 years, and just to read them and think about them. And then I pulled out my history books, and now they're laying everywhere. When you come to the studio, they're everywhere.
I can't wait to walk out of Town Hall and look over and see 10-year-olds and 15-year-olds over there taking in, what those documents have to say.
Well, I think we should talk about those documents, because what we're talking about are the charters of freedom. So there's an organization called Foundation Forward. I think you were introduced to them a few years ago. And their primary purpose for being is gifting settings, life-size settings of our founding documents to communities across America. And Wilkes County is one of those. And in a few days, there will be that dedication ceremony. So let's talk about that now. And why do you feel that's so important? That those documents are actually going to be in Wilkes County. They're going to be in Wilkesboro, so right beside town. It's perfect, a very intimate setting. So I can imagine that will be very comforting to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Share your thoughts.
Well, first things first, Carl, you were the push that started that several years ago, and you came to me, and we worked at finding a location. We were turned down repeatedly, but we didn't give up.
Right, that's right.
And so we knew how important it was to have those documents here in a public setting and available.
You weren't mayor then. You didn't have the benefit of walking outside and just looking around.
Yeah. Well, to me, the value is the availability. It's the educational aspect of it. I really hope our public schools will take advantage of the installation, that they'll have day trips where they bring classes out during history lessons or whatever, and really let those students stand and gaze at those documents and let those truths that are self-evident become part of who they are.
I think what it does is it opens up conversation. To be that close, and the fonts have been tweaked just a little bit to make them more readable.
Legible, yeah.
And I think that was a really important thing that Foundation Forward did. And starting this program was to create something that people could be common to go see it. Vance and Mary Jo Patterson, and you know the story, they were in their 60s and they went to Washington, and for the very first time they had ever seen our founding documents, and they were moved to tears. They were emotionally moved from being in that rotunda and seeing those documents, and when they came home they just couldn't stop talking about it. And they were in a position to do something about that. And they started talking to the people in Morganton and said, "Hey, we'd like to create a setting of our founding documents, and Morganton would be the first place." And I know you've heard the story, but I think it's a charming story. So Vance and Mary Jo, once there was interest there, they went back up to Washington to see the documents. And they don't let you take out a ruler, to measure things. So Vance shares that story about how the size, how it was calculated by, the height of the front and the height of the back was based on certain marks on her body. It was so many steps, and that was what gave them the measurements. And it's extremely close to being exactly right.
Well, I will tell you that seeing the drawings is one thing of an installation, but actually standing there and getting the scale and scope of what has been installed is a bit overwhelming. This is no small thing. It's huge. They tell me that it's designed to stand for 400 years, so it'll outlive me. Wow, by a long shot.
I saw on Amazon some new vitamins that's supposed to give us another 60 years or something. I don't know.
Well, that is part of for me, the exciting part of putting it in is knowing that it's, if you assume 20-year generation, you're talking about, 20 generations that's going to be impacted by that. And it's just really, really humbling, and I feel privileged to be part of it.
It's interesting as we're having this talk, because we started our conversation, the tempo was up, but this seems to happen anytime I talk with anyone about our founding documents. The conversation goes, and it's like, the feel, the mood just gets some more somber, and it's like a reflective time. Do you feel that?
Oh,
Do you sense that?
Yeah, it's just it also is just bathed in respect.
Yes.
And that's what our young folks need. They need to understand what's been gifted to them by the previous generations. And if you understand that and you have respect for that, you're going to care for your place as well. And so,
Right.
We're very fortunate to live in Wilkes County. We are a very patriotic community, and so I hope this helps that carry on, and that generations to come will go and stand in front of these documents and read. Reading is so different than listening or watching. Reading does something that no other media can do.
Right.
It enters through your eyes and changes your heart, and so I'm looking forward to lots of kids reading.
Words are powerful. I believe that the stories and the documents will do their work because the adults are going to come first, and they're going to see the documents, and then the kids will come too. And then it's one thing for school kids to come on a bus, but it's another thing, on the weekend when, families are in town for a concert or what have you, and they step across from the plaza and go over and check out the documents.
Yeah.
And the veterans. I mean, that's another area that I think you'll find that it becomes a special place for them as well.
Yeah, we're immediately installing one very nice park bench, plans to add another. We want it to be a place where you come and sit and reflect and absorb.
Yeah, there you go. Wow, Mayor, there have been so many people that's on your staff and the county working to pull everything together for the America 250 celebration, for the foundation forward park that's being built. Your people there have been absolutely incredible on all levels. You got to be proud of them. Extremely
proud, Carl. From our planning department that worked to put together the actual plans, all the way through to our crews from Public Works that did the excavating and pouring the concrete and laying the brick, and it's just absolutely a beautiful little park, and it's because of the efforts, the hard work of our skilled and talented folks there with the town of Wilkesboro. So I would just like to publicly thank them for their efforts, and they can be extremely proud of what they've accomplished.
When you retire, you're not going to be able to take them with you, right?
Well, we are extremely fortunate to have the group of employees that we have with the town, and all of our town and citizens know that and communicate that to me. What a wonderful, talented, caring group of people we have. You may not know this, but there was I received a call from Foundation Forward with a construction crew, and there was a skill set that I needed to find locally, and I called Ken and spoke with him. He says, "We can do that. We have people that can do that," and it absolutely came together, and I thought that was fantastic. Yeah. And I've been in my career as an engineer. I've been fortunate enough to work with our town teams before I became mayor, and the quality of work and the skill set that the town has is just incredible. We're blessed. Another thing to be proud of. Amen. That's a great thing. So that's going to be exciting. So that dedication is actually on the 4th of July. I remember when we first started talking about it, and you said, "Gee, Carl, it'd be great if they could do that on 4th of July." I said, "The 4th of July? That's a a high demand time," and they were actually scheduled to be in D.C. doing a dedication, and I got the call. I said, and they said, "Okay, there are places that want it too, but Wilkes County can have that slot." And I think I called you right away. Oh yeah, and that was hit my heart. Just that was a real good thing. You had told me there was no way, and well, there was a way, and we are so thankful. There was a way. Yeah. Well, evidently your thoughts and prayers actually had a positive change in D.C.
you didn't even know it. So here it comes. So the 4th of July is just full of activity. So you're involved with the committee, and the mayor of North Wilkesboro. So a whole lot of people are involved with bringing things together. The parade has turned into something bigger than just a few cars now, right? So
I can't wait to see what that ultimately becomes, because I keep getting messages from Fred Costello with the Rotary organization that's looking after the parade for the county. Very thankful for them and their willingness to take that on. But the messages are of, well, this person's coming and they're doing this, and it's everything is building.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
I was, I don't know if you saw tonight, we did a story with the Igloo and Harold's. It's the 50th anniversary for the Igloo. So, that's a big celebration for a lot of people in the county, because everybody seems to love a good hot dog, right? And that's a long time. Well, so we'd had them in for the interview, and that went great. People have loved the interviews, and because people have great memories, of going to the Igloo across from the school at Miller's Creek and getting a hot dog or a milkshake or whatever as a kid, and that was, it was just a special show to do. But then I'm stopped in to see the folks at Harold's, and I said, Alan, everything's going great. Have you heard about the July 4th parade? He's like, you mean the fire trucks? I said, no, there's going to be an actual parade during the day. And he says, and he goes back there and he's cooking, and he comes back out and he says, we might do a float. And I was like, okay, that'd be great. And I said, reach out to Fred and get your paperwork. And it has grown. It has grown to where they're going to do just this big float. They've got, hot dogs and big bear, all sorts of things. And they're great patriots. So they're going to be celebrating the 4th of July and celebrating their reason to celebrate as well, 50 years.
Yeah. Well, and it needs to be special. It is 250. I mean, that's as you say, compared to some other nations in the world, 250 is pretty young, but it's quite an accomplishment, and so thankfully a lot of folks want to celebrate it, and so there's lots of activities through the day on the 4th. Yes. Towns have upped their giving for the fireworks. So I think we're going to have a display that
will be impressive.
It'd be impressive. We've got an orchestra and a choir, and there's just all kinds of.
Can you imagine? And I asked the mayor of North Wilkesboro, I said, so what are they going to do? He said, when the fireworks are going, I said, so we're going to have our own philharmonic orchestra going on during the fireworks, and that's going to happen. Yeah. Well, it's our local version, so that's pretty exciting.
Yep. I'm looking forward to seeing everything come together. There's things being planned that I don't even know about, so I'm just thankful to
nothing like surprises around something so special as well.
And the parade. I need to be careful because I'm not. I've been told it's at 4:00, but then Michelle just told me right before I came over here that the registration sheet says 5:00. So there's maybe a bit of confusion, and we'll work on that.
Yes. So I think it's 4. Well,
I do too.
Everybody, you need to be there by 3 at least, or 2:30.
Well, we're hoping that everybody will come on out at 2.
For the dedication.
For the dedication, and just stay there in Wilkesboro to watch the parade. So
that'd be great. So tell everybody exactly where the dedication is going to take place.
Yeah, it's going to be on the front lawn of the Town Hall there on Main Street, and we know we need to plan for overflow crowd, and so we're looking at how to block off portions of the street and do things like that. But the documents themselves, the little park. We hadn't decided what we're calling it, Liberty Park or something, is just to the right, standing on Main Street, looking at Town Hall. It's just to the right of Town Hall. So the plan is that that dedication ceremony begins at 2 o'clock, lasts for about 45 minutes. Going to be a lot of special stuff in that dedication, so I'm really, really excited to be a part of that.
They're so full of energy. You got people singing, a lot of great words are being said, and then fireworks are early because they have cannons.
I heard about this. Yeah.
So those are fantastic. And I was talking to Ken Nolan, your town manager, of which he's retiring. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, I talked to him the other day, so he's coming in for a show so we can have a conversation about it. So I don't know how you're going to fill his shoes, but you'll find someone.
We'll fill different shoes.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, Ken was certainly I think a one of a kind.
Yeah.
As far as his tenure.
And I know this has nothing to do with America 250, but maybe it does a little bit because his footprints, his fingerprints are all over Wilkesboro for 27 years. And so he's managed and looked after our town for a generation. But what I wanted to say was I've been mayor 2.5 years, and he has been just right there to help me. I became mayor and had no idea what I was stepping into. I'd never been in office, never been in that kind of position. I'd been executives in companies, that kind of thing. But he was just so important to me and getting settled in and helping me understand the role of mayor, and he's going to be missed terribly.
Yes. I think this is very relevant to America 250 because you're talking about if we take that moment, okay, you're coming in, you don't have experience, but somebody there is not just in a position as helmet, but somebody that's experienced longer than anybody else in the state of North Carolina being town manager, right? So that's all that experience is there. You think about it, our founding fathers, and not everybody understands the depth of who those people were, but those were all leaders in their own communities, and then they all came together, and what they were committing to potentially giving up, definitely changing for the rest of their lives, and for most better, but not for all.
Yeah. I mean, they were risking being charged with treason. They were risking, being put to death.
Yes, that was a big deal.
Yeah, and I was going to say earlier. I mean, not to sound grotesque in any way, but when you stand in front of those documents, it's important to understand that they're bathed in the blood of patriots, whether it's the Revolutionary War or in all the wars since, the freedoms that have been protected by our brave men and women in the military. So they are paid for by the blood of Americans.
Well, sacrifice is what all nations are built on in some way. It's just we had this great experiment that we're still in the midst of. Right, and that's what makes it so incredibly special. Yeah. So maybe Ken is like your. Let's see, if you were Jefferson, he would be your Madison. Right? It's just role playing for a moment because Jefferson was leading the charge. He was in France, and Madison's back here working on it, and he says, "Hey, I need to know about the governments around the world." So Jefferson sends him a trunk full of books, on government systems all over the world. and over 200 books. And from that, he sat down and pulled the best of what seemed to be that would work. And that's how it all got started. And they had a little row on what words to change, and they did it. And here we are.
Yeah. So, again, as I said earlier, such beautiful documents, such beautiful words, and you can tell that lots of heart, lots of love, lots of research, everything went into to those documents.
That's right. And everybody involved had everything to lose. Absolutely everything. So I think that kicks it up even another level, right? That price, as you said, that was paid on it all. Well, this is an America 250 piece, so I think it's fine that we linger in certain moments of history, because I think that's important. My hope is that this celebration in Wilkes County and conversations like this, and we have a lot of other folks coming in who are historic interpreters, and from Daniel Boone to Benjamin Cleveland, people that were part of our history. They all have battle scars.
And I think that's really important too, Carl. Is when you're talking about celebrating America 250, you're not just celebrating the founding of our nation.
That's right.
Yes, that's the beginning, and that's it's very important.
Right.
But Wilkes County in particular has that 250 years of history that changed us, made us as a community, and so hopefully, I know that that's part of the hope for the parade, is that we'll see floats that represent all the different years of our existence here in Wilkes County. So
wow, that'll be a lot of cars.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of cars. Well, I think it's great that we're actually taking a moment to talk about our feelings and our thoughts about this, because I think everybody will start enjoying that conversation from what are they talking about, that's just history, to evolving maybe, there's a lot of similarity and the battles of deciding, do we go this way, do we go that way, that we deal with now on many different things. I'm sure as mayor, you've had ideas about doing one thing, and I'll do that next week, and 2 years later, you're doing it in some various form of it, because that's the process, right?
Yeah. That's one thing that was hard for me to learn. I had come from development work, and you move fast,
right.
And so it's been frustrating, but also I've grown to understand the importance of things moving slower.
Right.
You're shepherding the funds of the public, and so you want to be sure that what you're doing is right and lasting, and good use of other people's money.
What do they say? Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
But in government, it's measure 400 times and cut once or 2 times, whatever that might be. But it's the idea that this is something that we're all in together. I went to the 250 committee meeting a few weeks ago, and I think we have another one
today,
this afternoon
yeah.
at 4. And to see the people around the room, and this one's like, well, we're doing this, and then the DAR was there, and they said, okay, we're going to do this and this and this, and so people are taking it very seriously. So we're putting together task things that'll be going on, but there's so much diversity. There's going to be something for absolutely everyone, and I can't wait to see how it plays out with young parents and with young kids, how that plays out. And I think that'll be great.
Yeah, one thing we did was we said, okay, we know there's going to be special events, and that's great. But what are events that happen pretty much every year that we can look at through the lens of America 250? I'll give you an example. A couple of months ago, a group got up on a Saturday morning and met at the old cemetery to clean headstones. They had been in touch with the folks at Arlington Cemetery, gotten the chemicals they used to keep their headstones bright and white, and so so they asked me to come and speak to them, and of course, you're standing in the midst of the history of Wilkesboro, right in that cemetery, and so even the cleaning of headstones and recognizing the contributions from Mr. Finley, who was the first one buried there, all the way through the veterans, and even the cleaning of headstones was a celebration of America 250.
Right, and that's exciting too, to what you just described happening. And I was talking to someone a few weeks ago, and they said, "Well, don't the church it's not the church's responsibility to keep those up?" I said, but that was not a church cemetery. And so it didn't fall under a church to take care of it. And just over time, it just had kind of got forgotten about. But the Daughters of the American Revolution showed up and really were helpful in moving that forward. They did great work.
Yeah, I didn't have any idea what I was headed for that morning. I thought, as I was driving in, well, I'm going to talk to 10 people.
Right.
And I get there, and there's a huge turnout.
Right.
And, I mean, that really touched my heart that
people
would give up their Saturday morning and come down there and clean a headstone of someone they are not related to or never knew. Good hearts, good people. Good hearts,
and I'm sure that gave great pleasure to the archivists and historians at the museum.
Yeah, they were there. They were there. Yeah. I would encourage folks to go by and just look. I mean, it's amazing how clean and beautiful.
So tell people where that's at.
Yeah, it's right behind the Methodist Church.
Okay.
Yeah. Right above Cub Creek Park, if you know where the tennis courts are, there at Cub Creek, just right above that. And it's open. You can go and walk through. Yeah. It reminded me a lot of my first job out of college was engineer with the city of Charleston, South Carolina. And I worked on Meeting Street, and one block over, my wife, Michelle, worked on King Street. And so we were fortunate enough to be able to lunch together every day. Right. And so we would spend our lunches walking the cemeteries there in downtown Charleston, which you can imagine the history. So as I walked through Wilkesboro's, it was very much the same.
Well, I think that's an exciting thing, and very appropriate that it happened this year. That process was actually done, and now people can go reflect on history when they visit. Yeah. So let's talk about the future. So we know we're going to have a great. I think American 250 and our celebration. It's not just the 4th of July. Right. It's all year long.
All year, and even into next year.
That's right. So. It started actually in celebrations last year, and now this is the year, and then it also goes into next year. And if we follow how long it took us to get the battle over, we got about 7 more years to go.
Right.
So, and I think that's fair. I mean, if we think about and honor our history and learn from it for the next 7 years, can you imagine how much more, I don't know if patriotic is the right word, but a sense of gratitude of where we are? And I think that sense of appreciation of history helps shape how we walk forward.
I agree. Knowing the sacrifices that have been made by those that came before us can do nothing but help us appreciate what we have today. At whatever generation, whatever age.
Right.
So,
right. Wow, those are good words. So let's look at beyond July the 4th. We look at everything that's going on there, and the week and the weeks afterwards. There's a lot of things going to be going on. We're going to be, as we just said, we'll be celebrating America 250 for quite some time. But as you sat where you are now, because you lived now through this will make two very important moments in American history. So 50 years ago, you remember that celebration. Did you get the plates and things on the wall?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and the coins,
Right, right.
Yeah, I made displays out of the coins. It was, I was just, I was at the right age to learn and appreciate. Yeah. So being 16 is a good age to reach into a life and touch it. So,
right. Were you a Boy Scout?
I was a Cub Scout.
A Cub Scout, right.
Yeah, I did not progress on to Boy Scouts. I got into sports and went that route.
Well,
but
there you go. Yeah. You still had an appreciation from where you came from. Right?
On my honor, I'll do my best.
Let's think about, Mayor, when 300 arrives, and there will be another celebration. I don't know what that word will be, because the 250, it took me a few moments to say that. Yeah. And then, so 300. I don't know if you'll still be alive then, but your kids will be, and your grandchildren will be. Yeah. So kind of project forward, and what are you seeing and hoping for then?
It's hard to think that the things we do today lay a foundation for the next generation and the one after that. But I mentioned before the importance of instilling those values into the next generation and teaching them the importance of them instilling those values in their next generation. If you don't do that, you lose those values, and so whether it's the display there that we're working on with Foundation Forward, or whether it's mom and dad sitting at home with their children, reading a book about the United States and relaying to them their families' sacrifices over the years. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be too hard on parents right now. It's hard to be a parent. But I encourage parents to take the time. It's hard to put down the screen yourself, and it's incredibly hard to get your kids to put down screens. Mm-hmm. But man, it's so important that you speak to your children about important things. Right. And what you deposit in them, number one, impacts them and their future, but it also is a deposit in your grandkids. Right. And so maybe a year like America 250 is a good time for parents to think about important things, to rededicate themselves to spending time talking to their children about important things. For me, as now a grandparent, I've had more important discussions this year with my grandchildren than I did last year, and I think it's because I'm thinking about our nation and its future. So I hope that we do things that put a foundation in place for the next generation.
What would be really cool, if we can use that word, is during the dedication, if your children are there with their children.
Yeah.
So people who are grandparents and their kids who are, anywhere from in their mid-20s to 40, but really the earlier, the 20 and 30-year-olds, to be there with their children. So your grandchildren.
That's right. They'll remember.
To be there. Then it's not only will they remember, but their parents will too. Yeah. Because it would be 3 generations there together in this great celebration and talking about this.
And I told Ken as we were putting together the program, I said, let's make sure we think about making this a multi-generational program. Yes. If it's just a bunch of old gray hairs, right. I won't be happy. I want Eagle Scouts there presenting the colors. Right. I want a young person to sing the national anthem, and so we're working on putting all that together, because I think if it's just a bunch of us old folks, it misses the mark of that next generation. Right.
But so by design, this is a good project for all of us to work on, is having our families, participate, and whether people are at their dedication, it doesn't matter, because once it's dedicated, it's there. People come early, they can come late, they can come the next day, the next day, the next day. But being part of that 250 celebration in some way with family, then that helps build that layer.
Yeah.
Take lots of pictures and do lots of things to have energy and excitement, because we remember those type of things more.
Yeah. I would love for that day and the days after to be filled with young and old, black and white.
Yeah, and that's important.
Male, female.
Isn't that important that it is? Diversity is a funny word, but it does need to be black and white. It needs to be everybody that's in the community. It's not something that's just for one group of people.
Yeah, it's our nation.
That's right.
Our nation. When I say our, it's every citizen. Regardless of where they're from or what they look like.
That's right.
This is their country, and so
I think we're better when we're in a crowd and we kind of look different.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think all crowds should look like our country.
Yes, that's right. That's right. All right. Well, my goodness, how's the First Lady doing?
She's doing well. She's been through a little bit of health issues, but she is recovering and doing very well.
Oh, that's wonderful news. She's going to be out on the big day, July the 4th?
That's the plan for sure.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Anything else you want to share?
The other thing, I guess maybe it's important to think about the foundation of our nation, the formation of our nation. Maybe that's leading us more to cooperation. I know that it's been in the paper some, but we're working extremely hard to have the two boroughs working together. I mean, whether it's on the America 250 or other projects. We just did a groundbreaking for a joint raw water intake to meet the demands of the next 5 generations, probably.
A very practical thing to do,
yes,
right? That was I remember when that first was brought up, and then it's happened now. So it's that thing of everybody working together as our own little nation, right?
Well, we saved a lot of money. It'll be more efficient, and as I said, it's something that'll tie the two towns together for 100 years. It's for me, it's very exciting. It's not a first step. I mean, we've been doing other things, but it's really a first visible step of the two towns joining together to accomplish good, save taxpayer money, and improve service.
Right.
So,
you think it'll lead to other collaborative efforts?
I certainly do.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I tell you, it's going to be good. We're going to see you on July the 4th for sure. And then after that, maybe you and the First Lady can come in for Christmas.
Yeah.
Story time.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Let me make an invitation. The area is not large in front of Town Hall, but it's large enough to accommodate whoever comes. Right. We'll find a way. And so I would invite everyone from Wilkes County. This is a Wilkes County installation. It's not a Wilkesboro installation. Right. And so would like to invite every citizen of Wilkes County to come on July 4th at 2 o'clock to be part of this ceremony and celebration.
That's right. And then right after that, there's going to be a parade.
Yeah, and stay in Wilkesboro. If you have to, go to North Wilkesboro, but stay in Wilkesboro and watch the parade. It starts in Wilkesboro.
Right. Well, that would be practical. You stay. You if you're going to do both, you start in Wilkesboro. You see the settings. You just make your way by to see, even if it's after the dedication. That's great. At least people will see it. Wouldn't it be great if thousands of people would just see it for the first time on the 4th 4th of July.
Be wonderful.
And then if you're doing both towns, and you go over and watch the fireworks from anywhere really, but North Wilkesboro's got a lot of things going on.
Oh, they do. I admire Mayor Huffman's heart and dedication to this. He is working hard on America 250, and so I commend him for his efforts.
That's great. Well, Mayor, it's great spending time with you again. We'll see you on the 4th of July and then probably during the holiday season.
Thank you,
good
Carl.
to see you.
Thanks for having me in. I appreciate it.
Thank you for spending time with us on Life in Wilkes. We value you as a viewer and appreciate when you share the show with your friends and family. Be sure to bookmark our channel and join us again on the next episode of Life in Wilkes.